Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Jeremy Jacobowitz, the creator behind the popular brand Brunch Boys. Jeremy got his start in television production, eventually landing the role as Bobby Flay's personal assistant. Pivotal experience that deepened his love for culinary storytelling. Since then, he's built an engaging digital presence, sharing mouth-watering adventures, travel insights, and unique takes on food. Like his claim that the egg salad sandwich from 7-Eleven in Japan is the best thing in the world. Listen to find out why. Join us as we explore Jeremy's journey from TV production to digital influencer and discuss how he's making an impact through food and storytelling.
Here are 13 must-eat restaurants in New York City right now. Let me tell you why.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Duce Raymond Podcast. Today we have a special guest, Jeremy Jacobowitz. How are you doing, my friend?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Well, it's actually interesting because we've never met or talked before this conversation, so I think this will be very interesting and it'll shed a lot of light to the audience on what you're up to and some of the interesting things that they could see on your page.
Cool.
So how did you get started being interested in food in general? Like, did you grow up around food? Was this something that you've been interested from a young age, or is this something that came up during the creator era, if you will?
No, way before the creator era. I mean, the food passion starts when I was a baby, a toddler. I don't know, the first food I ever ate was Chinese food. I was like the kid in Brooklyn that, like, as a toddler, like the special lunch of my mom was like going to Thai food. Like, always very, very, very interested in it. I loved eating it. And then, like, that sort of blossoms through really like watching TV. Like, the original Japanese Iron Chef was my favorite thing ever, and like watching that and then working it and going along with it. And but it all started 35 plus years ago.
When did you dive into creating your own content, and how did that evolve?
Yeah, I mean, I was working in TV for a number of years, starting while I was at NYU, and then for years after that. I worked in sports TV and then food TV, but I always made stuff on the side. Like, this is way before even YouTube existed and there was any influencers or any social media at all. I was just the person that, like, made videos. It was just a passion of mine. And that sort of continued with whatever I happened to be doing. So I made stuff about sports originally, or kind of just school projects or whatever. And then when I was in TV, I've always been freelance. So just when I would have time between gigs, I would just make more videos. Again, like, it's passion of mine. It was a way for me to have a creative outlet to just kind of do whatever I wanted to do away from whatever show I was on. And that was always the intention, because this is before influencer. This is before this whole world existed. So there was no thought to it ever being a full-time job. It was always just supposed to be, hey, here's a place to just be creative.
Yeah. Well, now I watch your content. I'm very impressed, and I'll make this comparison, and some people will say I'm crazy or something, but it's very Anthony Bourdain-esque. Like, you're very articulate in what you're experiencing, your description of the food, and then the types of places you go to, I feel, are very urban, very similar to some of the stuff you would see on a few of his shows. What is that? So obviously you live in New York, so you're doing a lot of New York content, but then I also see a ton of content in Tokyo and, other big urban areas. What's your process there? Like, have you gone everywhere? I've seen your content for a while now, but it seems like I got something else specific I want to talk to you about, is the egg salad. But where do you find, is that your sweet spot in big urban areas, or do you go other places as well?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, comparing yourself to, or being compared to Bourdain, is the ultimate compliment.
Yeah.
I don't say that, but obviously, like, that is what you always want to try and achieve. And I think that, like, one thing that's really funny is, like, I never thought my goal was never to be on camera. So I don't know if, like, I have, like, that amazing skill set to be on camera. It's something I certainly worked on and found my own groove and whatever, but I'm still, like, very critical of myself. And I always think that, like, I'm not the person that could, like, taste something and break down a dish. And I've, again, tried to improve on that or whatever. And I try to kind of do that in the VO instead, where I could really like understand the dish more than just taste it or whatever. But then I went back and was watching some of whatever Bourdain it was. I forget, he says so many series. And one huge takeaway I got from it was like, oh, he's not breaking down the dish. Like, he's more just telling you how he feels. And that was like really eye-opening to me. I'm like, oh, okay, like I don't have to be so technical. Like, I'm sure he could be technical. He's an amazing chef.
Sure.
But truly what made him so special was the storytelling and sort of like bringing you into that moment to make it feel like you were sitting there with him eating at that table. I think that's what I try to evoke more than anything. But then in terms of like where I'm filming, I live in New York City. So obviously a lot of content's there, but then I travel a ton and I end up traveling almost once a month. But when I travel, I get a lot of content. So I was just back in Japan and I went back to Korea, but being there for over 3 weeks, I shot 70 videos. I mean, that's months of content. So it seems like I'm traveling even more. I travel a lot. It seems like I'm traveling even more than I am. And that's mostly just due to, and it's mostly big cities, just the way I like to travel. It's, I'm there for working. It makes it way easier. And I travel all over. But then also it's just, there's so many influencers now, especially in New York City, where it's really hard to stand out. Like, am I going to make the 100th video about that same restaurant everyone's going to? Or am I going to go to Houston for a weekend and discover all these new amazing places and kind of tell that story? So I love New York. It's the best food city in the world, but you know, it's also a business, and just personally too, like I'm kind of bored sometimes with the same restaurant. So it's fun to travel and kind of share that experience as well.
When did you make the leap from working in some place, you know, working for somebody versus taking this over full time as a creator?
It's been almost 10 years full time being an influencer, creator, whatever.
Awesome.
And like at the time, there wasn't really like, that wasn't the plan. It just kind of all happened. Like I was always freelance. And I was on the road a lot producing food travel shows. And I just like kind of needed a break for the first time. And at the time, my Instagram was kind of bubbling, but still very small. But people started making money around me and they were like, you're really close. And just kind of went for it. So I was like, I'll take a break from TV for a few months and just kind of see what happens. And really immediately I made more money than I did in TV. More so because I made no money in TV. But yeah, so like I'll take on little projects when I kind of want to. I'll direct some things. I've been producing some films. I'll do whatever. But those are few and far between.
You get to make that choice. That's beautiful.
Yeah, those aren't like monetary decisions. Those are just like creative decisions more so.
Do you monetize on Instagram and YouTube? Are there other platforms that are lucrative for you?
Yeah, the two biggest platforms are Instagram and TikTok. That's where all the brand partnerships are.
Okay.
It's probably almost split 50-50 between them. TikTok a little less this year just because its uncertainty has hurt that business. Yeah. But then like the bonuses, like YouTube, payout bonus stuff, Facebook bonus stuff, Snapchat bonus stuff. They all kind of pay out bonuses, which is not a lot, but I'll always take the money.
Sure. It's something. It's frustrating to me because it's unpredictable. You know, we don't depend a lot on the monetization of our channels, but like some months it was like pretty decent, and then other months it's like, okay, I could, you know, the $14 really isn't helping, you know. What do you think about or have you done much content around barbecue? I know that there's a few great barbecue places in New York specifically. Is there anything that gets you excited around barbecue?
Yeah, I mean, yes, we have like a very small selection of barbecue here in New York, but but the barbecue stories end up being much more when I travel, just because those are so much bigger of a story. And like, if I'm going to Texas, going there for barbecue. If I'm going to North Carolina, I'm going there for barbecue. So it ends up being more of that.
Any place that stands out to you that you went to as far as barbecue goes?
I'm the worst with names, so I'd have to actually look through my own content to remember anything. But certainly when I was in Austin, incredible barbecue. When I was in Houston, incredible barbecue. Yeah.
Talk to me about egg salad. the first time I started digesting some of your content, it seemed like you had like 3 different types of egg salad sandwiches, and you were just obsessed with these egg salad sandwiches. So talk to me about the couple different versions of them. Like, obviously, everyone in America knows what a classic egg salad on white bread is. But when you go to Asia, it's something a little bit different, and there's a couple different types. Talk me through that.
Yes. So my favorite thing in the whole world are these kombini egg salad sandos from Japan, from the Japan convenience stores. And when you're in Japan, convenience stores are not like in America. They just, one, on literally every corner, every single corner has like all 3 main ones, which are like 7-Eleven, Lawson, and Family Mart. And when I say every corner, I mean every single corner in a big city. All big cities have these.
Yeah.
And the food there is just incredible. Everything you get there is incredible and dirt cheap. I mean, the dollar is very strong, but even without the dollar being very strong, it is dirt cheap to eat incredible food. And they have these like selection of sandos, but my favorite is the egg salad sando. And like, the actual egg salad itself, I guess, isn't so different than what you would get in America. I mean, you could say the eggs are better and they use Kewpie and whatever, some special ingredients. It's not necessarily the mix. It's just more of like there's a few things. I think the approach to food in Japan is really different than America. Now, these sandwiches are like $1.25. And I think that if you were to buy a sandwich in America that's $1.25, you're not necessarily going to get the same care and attention in it that you would at sandwich that's $25. That's just how we are. Yeah. But in Japan, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that it's cheap food. They're still going to perfect it and do everything they can to perfect it. So I think just like that level of it you're getting. And then two, what's so magical about it is like, it's just this very delicate bite. It kind of comes from tea sandwiches.
Okay.
So they use shokupan, which is Japanese milk bread. So a very just like white bread, a little more flavor, I guess, than what we'd consider white bread. But it's just like very thin layer of that, very thin layer of egg salad. And it almost like melts in your mouth. Like for breakfast, I'll get like pack of that, a pack of tuna. So I'm eating like 2 of them at a coffee for breakfast. It costs me like $4. And what's special too is they're all pre-made because they're in the convenience stores. But one thing that's unique in Japan, and again, just can't be replicated in America, is that they are able to keep their refrigerators in the convenience stores at a higher temperature than in America. So if you were to make these in America and put them in a convenience store and have them sit there for a few hours, the bread's going to get cold, the bread's going to get weird, it's going to get kind of mushy and bad. By keeping it at almost just under room temp, it kind of just melds into the bread a little bit and kind of just keeps the same temperature and not weird.
Yeah.
So they are very magical. I sell merch with egg salad stuff on it. It's my favorite thing. When I'm in Japan, it is my breakfast every single day, no matter what.
Amazing.
And I'll try all of them or try many egg salad things as I can in Japan, but still 7-Eleven is my favorite.
That is so messed up. That comes from 7-Eleven. That's so crazy. But they look delicious. And I think it's a lot about the texture, and I love that soft texture too. That's really up my alley for sure.
Yeah. Another thing, like Americans kind of like, it's everything in one, like Americans are kind of weird about, which is why like people are like, you're going to Japan and just eating egg salad sandos. I'm like, yes, but like to me, it is as well as sushi and ramen and everything else you might consider Japanese. It is a perfect reflection of the Japanese palate and what they do so well about food also.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about New York a little bit. I've never been to New York, so I don't know a lot about it. I mean, I know it's kind of like similar to Chicago in a way where you can get just about anything there. What are some like non-negotiables? If you were coming to New York, you would have to go check out, because I'm very interested in going, and there's just so much to choose from. So I don't know how you really narrow it down, but what would be your top 5, say?
I actually made a video at the beginning of the year, and it was like best first day of eating in New York City.
Okay.
So it's like, you've never been to New York City, these are the places you have to go. And as much as we have the best of literally everything, no matter what kind of food, you could find it in some neighborhood that's incredible, whether it's like low end, high end, everything in the middle. I think the things that are specifically done in New York that are very hard, as much as I travel, I've never found somewhere else in the same way, is one, in New York City bagel. You just can't find them anywhere else. You could find Montreal-style bagels, and LA has LA-style bagels and whatever, but I've never had a New York City-style bagel outside of New York. So you absolutely have to get... What
makes it a great New York City bagel?
To me, it's like a little crusty on the outside, still like big and chewy on the inside, and that's just something that most places don't get right for some reason. I don't know. And, you know, there's a whole thing in the water and this and water that, like even... I think H&H Bagels just opened in LA, and their whole thing is like, we're bringing water from New York City to LA to make these bagels.
Right.
Which, like, I guess, yes, to make them as exactly as they can, like New York, that's fine. I don't really believe that necessarily.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's some magic sauce to get the texture right. So definitely bagels. On the list too, I have like Katz's pastrami, like a good New York City Jewish deli. Yeah, you can get like LA some good Jewish delis too, Montreal too. But like, if you hear that's such like a New York thing, old school Italian deli too. Like I think like Italian American food in New York is like no other also. So I think like those like the three like core elements of what you want to get in New York, just because I've never found that same thing anywhere else.
What do you think about like? So just thinking about it as a creator and social media, where is, you know, the next trend, or is everything going to stay similar to where it is for the rest of this year? Do you feel, in your opinion, you know, short form video being, you know, the most prominent way to get exposure and get in front of more people? Is there anything else coming down the pipe that you've been thinking about or hearing about?
In terms of like content creation? Or...
Yeah, and just in content creation, is there any trends or anything interesting going on that's been different than the last 2 or 3 years?
I mean, I think it's almost like bounces back and forth. Like even now, when you say like long form versus short form, well, YouTube Shorts could be 3 minutes. Where like that was absurd 5 years ago to make a short form video that's 3 minutes. You were encouraged to do 3 seconds.
Right.
So I kind of see that. I kind of like the long form actually making a bigger comeback.
In vertical format.
Yeah. I mean, I do both, and like you should just kind of do both. But yes, I mean, TikTok very much encourages you to make videos over 1 minute. You could only monetize if your videos are over 1 minute. YouTube kind of it's giving you the ability, and Instagram just went up to 3 minutes also. So they're all realizing that like, yes, we scroll very quickly, but if you actually stop on a video, people watch them. They want information. So I do think there's been a shift to that of people watching. Like, no, we want to, like, people want to know stuff. And like a lot of times in like the platforms that are only 1 minute, like on Facebook, the reels maybe have gone up, but I post the 1 minute reels on Facebook only. And inevitably I get questions, and I'm like, God damn it, that was in a 3 minute version, but like I couldn't upload it there. Now I have to answer it. So yeah, I just think there's like a thirst for knowledge.
Yeah, I agree. That's a big part of what we do, is try to provide like barbecue education, you know, people that they are, and there's a lot of questions behind, you know, cooking in general. You know, people always are getting started. They're at some level of cooking, and then when they see your content, you know, you don't know if they're experts just getting started or whatever. So it's like always interesting to be in front of more people and different people, and you never know who's going to watch your content. So
I also think the algorithms are getting really good, where like if someone is presented your video, they are probably interested in barbecue. You know what I mean? Like it used to be very random where okay, maybe they watch 2 seconds because, oh, this is kind of cool, but they weren't really interested in it. But the algorithms are getting so good now. They're like, yeah, like if it's going to find the people that really want to watch your video. And because of that, they're into it.
What is the rest of your year look like as far as content creation? Are you going all in? Do you like set it up so you do multiple videos and then kind of take a break? Or do you do 3 videos a week? Or how do you set up your content schedule?
Yeah, it's mostly based around the travel, and then I could just like fill in and be casual with it in New York. So because I have so many videos I shot in Japan, now it's like I'm not dying. I don't have to go film 1,000 videos in New York. I could just be like, oh, I want to go to that new restaurant. Great, that's a new video. Or I want to try this. So it makes it a much easier time, especially when it gets really hot in New York. Last thing I want to do is be running around with all my gear. So the travel kind of fills. I mean, I still have 50 plus videos from Asia. I still have videos I shot in Toronto. I still have videos I shot in Miami. I shot some stuff in San Francisco. I'm going to LA in 2 weeks. Like I'm in no need to worry about getting content.
Do you do everything yourself? Do you have a team? How does that work?
I do everything myself. The only person, like I have a manager who deals with when people want to pay me, but in terms of like organic content and the videos people watch, it is 99%. If I get a budget for something, like it's sponsored content and I feel like, okay, I could put that towards someone, great, but that's a few videos a year.
And you do all the editing and everything?
I do everything. Yeah, I mean...
Great job, man. That's very good.
Thank you. I mean, I think that on a monetary level, I couldn't afford to have an editor. And on a creative level, honestly, like I always think like, not because I've hired editors in the past, like I've hired editors to help me kind of rethink videos. I'd be like, hey, do this video. And then I kind of see what they did with it. I'm like, oh, that's kind of smart. Just a different perspective. I think it's really helpful sometimes. But by the time I make notes on an edit, I could have just done it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm good at it. I like it. So that's not something, if in the dream scenario, I could just be running around and passing off everything, but that's not really feasible. Like the first thing I'd probably want is someone to film me, I guess, only because I love filming, but I don't get any enjoyment off of filming myself. But again, am I going to pay for someone when I just put on the tripod and
that's what I was going to ask.
Success with it, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's so many ways to skin a cat for sure, and you can get, really in the weeds with expenses when you start building a team around everything. It's not cheap, that's for sure.
And especially without a consistent amount. Like, I think if you are on YouTube and you're getting that consistent YouTube check every month, and as long as you're kind of doing the same amount of videos, it's pretty consistent. I think then you can start building a team. I think that, like, the way my money works is, I don't know, I might not make any money this month. And that's fine for me because I've saved up and I can move stuff around and I've prepared for that. But when you have an employee, you can't really tell them, oh, by the way, you're not getting paid this month.
For real.
So it's a little safer this way.
Yeah.
You've seen Top Chefs. You have witnessed Master Chefs. You have admired Iron Chefs. Now, prepare yourself for the worst cooks in America. Tonight, food so bad that it is good. Brand new reality series, Worst Cooks in America, starts tonight at 9:20. First and exclusive on BTV. Because bad cooks make great entertainment.
Now, in some of my research, it said that you worked with Bobby Flay. What was that experience like?
Yeah, so when I transitioned from sports TV to food TV, it's basically starting over again. It's just very, very different fields. And the first show I did the full run of was Worst Cooks in America Season 3, which Bobby was the co-host of.
Okay.
And then from there, I met Bobby, and then I was his PA. So he did a lot of travel shows at the time. So I was being on the road with him and doing this and cooking shows and food competition shows and all that fun stuff. I mean, it was the best job in the whole world. I mean, my job is I mean, like, that's it too. Like, no one has a work ethic like Bobby. Like, people don't understand his story all the time because I think it kind of gets forgotten. But like, this is someone that like dropped out of high school after 10th grade or whatever, like just grinded to do this. And while he is rich beyond belief, still grinds like nobody else every single day when he does not have to do that. But it was best. I mean, my job was to just mostly entertain, make sure he was happy. So it was like, we're like, oh, we're in Chicago. Bobby has 2 hours between filming. Can you just like find the best restaurant in the city and get him there? Oh, okay, great. Easy.
Yeah. Well, that must have helped you too. Just get experience around food and, being in that atmosphere. That must have been really good.
I mean, at the end of the day, there's almost no one on earth that knows more, not even about food, but about food TV than Bobby. He's been doing it longer than anyone that even works at Food Network. You know what I mean? 100%. So his experience is beyond everything.
You know, I feel like people give Bobby flack, and similar to what you said, I don't think there's anybody else in the world that has as much food competition experience as Bobby Flay. He's been doing it for so long, since the original Iron Chef. He came on towards the end of that, and then he's been doing it nonstop. How many episodes of Beat Bobby Flay are there? I mean, and all the shows in between. He's been doing it for so long. Like, he's the real deal. I think people don't realize how much of a chef's chef he really is.
Yeah, I mean that's so. I produced the first 3 seasons of Be Bobby Flay, and that was a lot of it. Like, yes, Bobby is an incredible chef, but on top of that, the experience he has in that setting and scenario is beyond. That's why, like, our jobs were truly to try and find chefs to be Bobby, because that show is not fake at all. Bobby would kill us to be faked at all. And yeah, it was truly hard, because maybe we could find a chef that was technically better, especially like we try and give the advantage to the chefs. Like, they're coming in with their dish that they've made 1,000 times. Right. Bobby legitimately does not know what the dish is until it is told to him on camera on the show. Yeah. It is all very real. But the advantage Bobby has is in that setting with that clock, with the cameras, with the producers, no one's better at than him.
Yeah, I agree. No, totally impressive. That's really cool you got to work with him. That's definitely somebody on my list that I'd love to meet. I think very inspiring for sure. So if someone is getting, I mean, there's a billion people. I mean, they say they interview like grade school kids, and there's more people that want to be influencers than astronauts now. Like, that's just what it is, which is crazy. But, you know, people getting started, what advice would you give them? What's really important to, you know, if you want to build an audience and, you know, start monetizing yourself online, what are some of the, you know, first 3 steps you have to take?
I mean, the first thing is like, well, okay, what do you want to talk about? Like, I was speaking at a Fordham business class last week, and someone was asking me sort of that same question about, like, how do you create content around you being a brand? And it's basically like, I don't know what that means. What do you mean create content? Like, create content around you being a brand? Like, no, you have to create content around something. Like, I think back in the day, it was when it was just photos, and it's very easy kind of sell a lifestyle thing of like, look at me at this restaurant, look at me playing golf, I don't know, whatever. I don't think that works anymore. I think that could work if you're a celebrity. If you achieve fame somewhere else, you could very easily go on Instagram and post photos of you just doing normal things, and you'll get a ton of engagement. I think now you have to come at it with some extra expertise. So it's like, okay, what are you actually able to be an expert on? Are you able to have enough information, enough to say, to never talk about anything else ever? But then 2, the more important thing is like, realize that then that's whatever your passion is, isn't your passion anymore. It's a job. And 2, the job is not what your passion is. The job is to make videos. I think that like you hear a lot about, oh, creator burnout and this or that. And I've never felt that way, because at the end of the day, I love food. And I love traveling, and I love everything that like I'm talking about and posting about. But at the end of the day, what I'm actually passionate about is making videos itself. I made videos in high school. I made videos in college. I worked in TV. This has always been my job, because that part of it is my passion. So like, are you prepared to basically be a production company? And if not, that's it. Maybe just have a passion. I don't know, passion. You could have a passion and not make videos about it. Why ruin what is you're so passionate about?
Yeah. I try to talk to people about that too. Is you have to find your niche, what you're going to talk about, and you got to be comfortable talking about it a lot and over again. You know, one thing that I've realized over the last couple of years is, you know, we try to always come up with new ideas and be creative and everything like that, but in our field, people really like watching brisket being trimmed and being smoked and being sliced, you know? So we've come up with so many different versions of trimming brisket and slicing brisket, and brisket this way, brisket in this smoker. And And, for the rest of the time I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to be talking about brisket, and I just have to be comfortable with that. And just because I've talked about it a bunch doesn't mean the person on the other side of the screen hasn't heard it a bunch, and they're still interested. And one of my other friends says it is play the hits. People like seeing, it's just like, Jimi Hendrix music is great. Even though you've heard the same song 300 times, you still listen to that song. So it doesn't mean you can't do similar content. And I think some people struggle with that, but I'm learning it myself. I mean,
that's what I tell them. Like, you have to rinse and repeat and do the same video 10,000 different times, 10,000 different ways, but close enough, which is hard for me because I'm always in a different city at a different restaurant, whatever. But that's why I like keep the beats the same, keep the format the same, try and deliver the same video, even if like the details are different.
I love it. Let me tell you why. I love that part of the video. It's like you give it a short intro, and then let me tell you why. And I think that's great. I really, really enjoyed that cadence of it, and that's your style. It's one of your videos, and I think it's beautiful. Now let me ask you a question that I get all the time. So people always ask me, how do you stay thin when you're around all that food and barbecue all the time? So I used to be close to 300 pounds, and I lost over 100 pounds about 7 years ago, and have been able to keep it off. And so what about you? You've gone through a similar process. You've lost weight and been able to keep it off. What's your trick to that?
Yes, I mean, basically the same exact story, essentially. But that was now a dozen years ago. I've lost track of time and space. But yeah, I mean, I would say, like, when I always explain to people, like, my account is not a food diary. You know what I mean? If I only made videos about what I ate every single day, it would be the most boring account on earth.
Yeah,
I eat the same foods every single day.
Yeah,
I probably eat healthy 75% of the time at least. I'm just kind of able to stretch content, and I work out every single day, and it's just it's a balance. Like, don't not go eat that, but don't go eat that way every meal. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that makes eating more fun anyway. I like healthy foods,
Yeah, I agree totally. So we got a very similar story. That's the same thing is for me, is I eat the same things most days, and they're healthy food, but it doesn't bother me, and I think that when you do go out and indulge and have that bite of the perfect egg salad sandwich, it's so much more enjoyable because you're not having stuff like that all the time. So that's very good. People ask me that, and I say, well, what you see me taking a bite of on screen that's the only time I'm eating food like that, pretty much. So
right, exactly the same. And also, like, just you don't have to finish everything. Food is enormous, especially in New York. And I like tasting everything. So if I go to dinner with a friend, maybe we're getting a bunch of dishes because we want to try everything. You don't have to finish every dish,
I'm sure you're familiar, but the Dave Portnoy pizza reviews. Where do you stand on New Haven style pizza, and what's your perfect style pizza for you? What do you like?
I do enjoy New Haven style pizza. I mean, there are two answers really. One, I just love a New York City slice.
Yeah,
obviously I'm from New York City. That is what I grew up with. But the more controversial take is that Tokyo style pizza is incredible.
I have to go back and look at a video about that. I have not seen that.
Yeah, there's like a top 5 Tokyo style. And like every time I go to Japan, I eat a ton of pizza because the pizza there is, it's very like, they have a bunch of different types of pizza there. But
yeah,
the main, what I would consider Tokyo style is like, Neapolitan, is it Neapolitan? Wait, now I'm forgetting. I'm confused with myself. But it's like traditional Italian pizza. So it's like it's wood fired.
Neapolitan.
Neapolitan, okay. Neapolitan, yes. Super chewy.
Yep.
And the difference in Japan is a few things. One, most places like put a twist in the crust.
Okay.
The level of salt and olive oil is obscene in it. But then two, where my favorites are still more the traditional flavor profiles, they do get like really wacky with it. Like they have a lot of pizzas with like a mayonnaise base. I did one when I was there at Savoy, and the base is mayonnaise, corn sauce, cheese. They put it, and then they take like raw sushi grade tuna, put a ball of it on top and throw it into the wood-fired oven. And then when it comes out, they break it up. So it's still raw tuna on top, just a little bit cooked. And then they give you wasabi for it. And it was like unbelievably good.
That sounds amazing. That's so cool. I think that you would like, and I'm sure you probably had it, but Detroit style pizza. We just made a video about it, and it's crunchy, but then yet super soft too. I don't know. I was just like, I haven't had it for years, and we just did a video on it, and I was really like impressed on the way it turned out. Not patting myself on the back, just saying that style of pizza is so soft. It's like focaccia bread almost,
yes.
And then
like
you
how
put
airy it is. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was really, really good.
Well, I mean, I did a whole series called No Bad Pizza because I do not believe bad pizza exists. We've done a bunch of them, and like the basis is like, would you still eat that? Yeah, it's pizza. I would still eat it and enjoy it no matter what it is.
Right. I mean, I grew up in, my family's originally from Chicago. I was born down here, but then when I was like 1 year old, we moved to Wisconsin, and we grew up in the town called Wausau, Wisconsin, and they had a pizza called Sam's Pizza, and not knowing it at the time, but it was Chicago-style cracker crust pizza, and it's what I grew up, and they cut it into little squares. One piece was one bite. Every piece of pizza had one piece of sausage on it, and so you'd pick it up, and it was the perfect bite, and I just grew up loving that style of pizza. So when I go out to, the Nick and Vito's and places like that, there's a place called Marie's down here. I mean, that's what brings back memories of childhood to me as far as pizza goes. But I'm not a huge fan of the big, thick Chicago-style pizza.
The deep dish.
Yeah. I'd rather have New York-style pizza versus the Chicago deep dish pizza. But Chicago cracker crust, now that's my style.
Yeah. There's a place in New York, Emmett Grove, which does like the Chicago bar style pizza. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Anything else you wanted to talk about, or did you have any other experiences you'd like to share? What is your top, give me a couple top experiences food-wise that you've had. Just tell a story and we can weave that into the cast.
I mean, the food experiences I've had have just been like unbelievable. Just being able to travel the world and eating on any level is incredible. But on this past trip to Japan, when I was in Kyoto, I went to Monk. Monk was featured on Netflix Chef's Table Pizza.
Okay.
And they like the jumping off point, the thing like gets a headline. It's like Pizza Omakase is like the best restaurant in the world. I don't know if it's part omakase part isn't necessarily the pizza part. It's more like kaiseki style with what they say is like the pizza is in place of rice in it. But it's just like one of the most special eating experiences I've ever had. It's like very quiet and very beautiful. And the meal's real focus away from the pizza is like this hyper focus on vegetables and locally sourced vegetables to the point where like chef is like out in the fucking forest picking mushrooms the day of that you're going to eat there that day. The place he goes to get vegetables is the 7th generation farmer in Kyoto. And it was just really like a magical meal. And even though when I knew I was going to Kyoto, I think reservations open up like 2 months ahead of time or 3 months ahead of time. So every single day I had the reservation page open and I refresh, and I couldn't get a reservation. And then someone finally told me like, oh, they're closed the week you're going to be in Kyoto. And I was like, oh my God, this is my 3rd time in Kyoto. I was like, again, I'm missing out on it. And one of my followers, as I was like maybe a week or two before I was going to leave to go to Japan, they DM me and they're like, hey, did you see they're actually going to be open the week you're there now? And because nobody knew they were going to be open, I jumped and was able to get the reservation.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, just like a true, like the experiences that I love when I travel, it's not necessarily what is technically the best food I've ever had. I live in New York City. If I wanted to technically find the best pizza in the whole world, good chance I could do it in New York City, or pick any dish. I could do it in New York City. The things that I love about when I travel are experiences that can't be replicated. And you can't replicate. He could come to New York City. He could never open what he has in Kyoto in New York City. And that's what I love. Even when I was in Seoul, there's this dude that makes fried chicken. The restaurant is smaller than my apartment. And when you walk in, it's this old guy, 70s must be. I walked in there right when they opened, like at 4 p.m. No one was there. He's sitting there drinking a beer and smoking a cigarette, watching TV.
Nice.
He walks in and he's like chicken and beer. And that's it. You have to say yes because those are the only things on the menu and that's what you're getting. So like, and then he's just there. He didn't stop smoking a cigarette, but he made the fried chicken for me. Yeah. And like, yeah, have I had better fried chicken in the world? I don't know, maybe. But like that experience of it is something that I could never get anywhere else. Like that is what I like truly appreciate about what I'm able to do.
I couldn't agree more. And that's what we have done is travel for some barbecue places, you know, especially early on before we had the restaurant and stuff. That was a big part of like kind of developing what we wanted to do as a restaurant, is traveling to Kansas City and Carolinas and Texas but some of the experiences, and not so much the food. The barbecue is great, but really getting the story behind the restaurant and behind the person that runs the restaurant is some of the best part of the whole experience. You know, like I said, barbecue is great. I mean, I won't say there's no bad barbecue because I have had bad barbecue before, but when you're at that level, when you're going to a place that's been open for 75 years or 100 years, you know the barbecue is going to be good. And it's about the story about, you know, how have they been able to stay open for 75 years and where do they source their meat and where do they get their wood from? And, you know, every place does it a little bit differently. And I think that that's the part of the experience that I enjoy too, is just hearing their story. Well, Jacob, Jeremy, I'm sorry. I really appreciate you taking the time, my man. This has been really good. Any other plans in 2025 or 26, like moving forward? Are you going to stay on the content train and doing your thing, or do you see yourself doing anything else?
No, I would like to do this forever. You know, I have different side projects that I'm working on. So I produced a few films, some shorts, one feature length. That stuff is going to come out at some point. That's been a fun adventure for me.
Awesome.
But as long as I keep doing this, I'm going to keep doing this.
Awesome. Well, that's awesome. That's a great attitude to have. Like, that means you really love what you're doing. So I'll put the invitation out. If you're ever in Chicago, we are right down the street from O'Hare Airport, so come check us out. We have the Sweet Baby Ray's restaurant, but we're actually in the process of building the very first Duce's Wild restaurant. So I don't know if you know the story, but my dad is the chef that created Sweet Baby Ray's, and so his brother Dave ran that business. They built it into like a $30 million brand. And then in the year 2000, ended up selling to Ken's Foods. When they sold it, we retained the rights to use the name for restaurants and catering. And that's what we've been doing for the last 25 years. And now I'm starting my own brand called Duce's Wild. And so the original Sweet Baby Ray's restaurant, we're going to keep the existing building, but right across the street, we brought the property. We're going to build a brand new restaurant with a drive-through and kind of have like a modern... It's still going to be like really authentic barbecue, but just like the building that their current restaurant is like 60 years old, and it's just looks like a old house, and it's not very good for commercial restaurant use right now. Well, we're going to keep the existing building and use it for micro venue and tastings and things like that, because the catering business is really what drives most of what's going on from a revenue point of view. And that's right across the street. But anyways, I just wanted to invite you to come to the restaurant, whether it's Duce's Wild or Sweet Baby Ray's. It'll be great barbecue.
Yeah, I love Chicago, so usually ends up there. It's been a while now, but usually once a year ends up there, so.
All right. Well, Jeremy, I really appreciate you taking the time, and thank you so much.
Yeah, of course, anytime.